The DJI Avata 2 only just got released and you've probably got a bunch of questions. You want to know whether this is worth it over the original Avata 1, you want to know what new features it has, how it handles in the sky, how it handles as a beginner, and whether this is something that you should include in your DJI library potentially of other drones. So in this video, this is everything you need to know about the DJI Avata 2 before buying one. What's going on, beautiful internet family? My name is Dan Davis and I'm the creative director here on DansTube.TV, which is Australia's #1 ranked drone YouTube channel. If you're new around here, I'm also the course creator over on the Fearless Drone Academy, which is the ultimate online drone course for beginners. If you're new in the drone space, if you're a beginner, if you're fearful of flying, you have to check out the drone course. It has everything you need to overcome your fears and to become a fearless drone pilot. Use the code DANSTUBE over there to save. The first thing I thought when I started unboxing the Avata 2 is just how lightweight everything is. Like the controller itself, the RC Motion 3, unbelievably lightweight. The drone itself, even the batteries are lightweight. I was quite impressed with what they've been able to do here. If you look at it compared to the original Avata 1, it's redesigned from the ground up, but it's still the same exciting experience that we got with the Avata 1. And if you remember my Avata 1 videos, definitely go and check them out if you haven't. I was just blown away with how exciting it was to fly. I've never flown anything like the Avata 1 before, and that same experience came through with the Avata 2. If you are interested in the DJI Avata 2, I will have some links below. I will have some links for some international buying options, but if you're based in Australia, you can reach out to the D1 store, sales@d1store.com.au, mention DansTube and they'll help you out with the best deal possible. And you can also use the code DANSTUBE on their website to save on select items. So I love the new Goggles 3. I love the fact that we've got the battery built in and we don't have to have something plugged in, dangling down into our pocket. Everything's just built in, the battery pack on the back here. We've got the adjustable frame on the top here to actually brace your head. The adjustable knobs, everything is just really well designed here. Even the buttons on top of the headset themselves to navigate the menu, they feel great. It's an awesome system overall. It feels great when you've got it on. The charging hub is great. So as you would expect from any DJI product, it's just top tier, high quality, and I was quite impressed with how lightweight and portable everything was. A small note to be aware of is that you do have to have multiple devices charged. So you need to charge the headset, you need to charge the controller, and you need to charge the drone batteries. Whether you've got the charging hub or just the one battery, you will need to charge all of those. I find that the controller itself seems to hold charge for an extended period of time, so I can come back, charge up the drone batteries and the headset, and then I can go out again and I don't need to charge the controller for a little while. So I find that that's not too much of an issue, but you just need to get used to a different charging cycle because you are charging an extra device, which is the headset as well as the controller and the drone. In terms of portability though, I love the Fly More combo with that new sling bag that we get. It's great, it houses everything in, and there's even extra space to put a few more things in. Sometimes I'll take out a microphone or I might take out the Osmo Pocket 3 or something else. I just slot it into the bag and there's still heaps of space in there. So you do get the 3 batteries, the charging hub is great and does charge up really fast. That was something I was quite impressed by, and it's a great experience overall from the unboxing standpoint. And so that was really cool to see my friend fly the Avata 2 for the first time, see how excited he was for it, and I actually gave him the first flight. So that video that's up is the first flight of my Avata 2, and then I went out and flew it, and same experience. Like I was very excited to see how I could get between tight gaps and I could get these cool banking shots, and even testing out the new easy acro mode was really exciting. I love that 180 kind of drift effect where you like fly towards something and then drift around, and it creates a really nice revealing shot. That's a lot of fun, and I think that's extremely useful. I think the flipping or the rolling mode is also really fun, but I don't know whether everyone's going to implement that into their workflow. Maybe a little bit more of a novelty thing. Like I think that was my kind of novel experience from the Avata 2, being able to flip it and it flips and continues to fly. Like it keeps the momentum up and it somehow holds itself in the sky. Like that was amazing to watch, to see a drone that could just flip and still continue hovering and continue moving forward. That was really exciting, and the footage does look great. So the fact that you can roll and flip, I think is a really nice addition to your workflow. I just wonder whether it's more of a novelty. Like just ask yourself whether you see yourself using those flipping features, whether you see yourself like actually needing that in your workflow. But I think the overall experience of the drone when you are flying and getting those really tight shots. So the fact that you've got a built-in prop guard, you don't need to install one, that's a huge calling card of the Avata 2. And the other thing that was really really cool was I did an obstacle course with the Avata 2. I go to a location where I normally would do the obstacle avoidance tests with the latest DJI drones, and I would see how well the drone could navigate between the trees. For this one, obviously I was the one manually controlling it. I was in the normal mode and then I went to the sports mode. I never go into the manual mode because I'm not an FPV pilot, but you can also go into a manual mode if you know how to fly FPV and you have the proper controller. You can do whatever you want then. It's a true FPV experience then. But just for a beginner and someone who wants to have that FPV experience but not have to worry about learning everything and getting used to a whole different controller experience, then the motion controller with the Avata 2 is really fun. You can see in the video here, I'm darting between trees, I'm getting really low to the ground, I'm banking around all sorts of things, going between the tiniest gaps, and unfortunately I smashed it into a tree here. Luckily I angled it and it didn't hit the actual camera itself. You can see a little bit of a mark on the drone itself. It hit the prop guard. Everything's fine though. I launched it straight after, no issues, no error messages. It is a solid drone and it can handle a lot of hits. I would be more concerned if it was to hit directly on the camera, but you do have little kind of bracing points that protrude beyond the camera, just so it doesn't hit the lens directly. It's going to hit either the protruding part or the little kind of lips of the lens themselves. You can also put ND filters on the drone as well, so that's an extra layer of protection, and it does have turtle mode, so it can flip over. If it flips onto its back, you can flip it onto its front, which was the same with the Avata 1 as well. So there aren't obstacle avoidance sensors per se on the drone, but there are these binocular fisheye sensors, and they do enable downward and backward visual positioning. So that helps with low altitude and indoor flights. So it helps with stability and safety. And so that actually means that as you're flying really low to the ground, the drone's going to know how low you are, right? And it's going to help with the safety maneuvers to help you not smash into the ground. And it also works when you're doing the flipping mode. So it won't allow you to flip and roll if you're too low to the ground, because it would actually hit the ground in that instance. So these are some nice safety features. But with other drones, when you're flying really low to the ground, you get the beeping, right? The beep, 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 when you're too close to the ground, too close to a tree or something. That's where the Avata 2 becomes a lot more fun. You do need to be more aware as a pilot though, because it's all on you here. But it's cool that you get that experience and you still get a little bit of some safety measures in there to make sure that you don't flip and hit the ground, or make sure that you're not too low to the ground to smash into something. It seems to do a really great job of those low altitude flights. So let's get into some of the specs here and some of the things that have improved over the Avata 1. We do get 4K 60 FPS HDR video here, and we are getting a new sensor. So we've got a 1/1.3 inch CMOS sensor here. So this is an improvement. It's going to be better in low light. It's just a nicer camera system overall, and getting 4K 60 FPS in HDR is beautiful here. The dynamic range is awesome, and it's a really nice camera system. I love it. Again, when we look at the obstacle course test, I love how the sun's poking between the trees and you get the little light rays. It just looks amazing. Everything looks just crispy. And then I got some nice shots of like boats and a few nice scenic shots with the water, as well as in some kind of bushy area. It works no matter what situation you're in. Even when it was overcast, I found that the camera system did a really great job in those lower light situations. We are also getting 10-bit D-Log-M here, which is huge for a lot of people, especially if you want to incorporate the Avata 2 into your workflow. Maybe you are in the real estate space and maybe you're doing some gimbal shots, you're also getting some drone shots, but then you want that true FPV experience, like flying through a house, out over the pool and over to reveal something really cool, right? Like that's where something like the Avata 2 stands out, because you've got the prop guards built in, you've got those fine little movements, and you're going to be able to navigate through a house nice and easily, and you're going to be confident knowing that you've got the prop guards on and you've got the sensors as well. So I think it's a great addition to your workflow, and it just creates a whole new perspective when you look at it. Another nice upgrade here is battery life, and this is something that the FPV space really struggles with. A lot of the time batteries do not last long at all. You need so many batteries ready to go just to swap them out, but you are getting 23 minutes from the battery. Obviously you're not getting 23 minutes because that will be 0% battery life at that point and the drone would just collapse out of the sky. Maybe 15 minutes per battery. Pretty awesome if you get the Fly More combo. I know that it probably sounds a little lower than you would be expecting if we compare it to other drones, but for the FPV space this is really, really good. And you got the 3 batteries if you got the Fly More combo, so quickly swap them out and you got a fair bit of flight time. We do get a few electronic image stabilization stabilization options here. So we do get rock steady as well as horizon steady. So rock steady is the technology that we've seen in the Osmo Action series. It works flawlessly. So you can bounce like this as you're walking, the footage is going to be straight. You can run, it's going to be straight. Horizon steady is a different experience. That basically means it's going to prioritize the horizon being straight, basically being steady. But I would say stabilization has been flawless. You can bank around and you still get that FPV look as you're moving around, but the footage looks stable. You're not getting any kind of jello or awkward movement. Everything is in focus and it just looks great no matter what speed you're flooring this little drone at. I briefly mentioned the easy acro mode, and there are a few different options. So we've got slide, we've got 180 drift, and then we've got flip. You can roll and you can also flip. So you kind of get both of those in that one mode. So the slide mode is subtle, does an awesome job. The 180 drift is the one I really like, because as the drone's flying forward, you can 180 drift and it will pull back to reveal whatever it is. So let's say there's a house there, for a real estate example. You fly over the house and then you press it and it's going to flip back and then fly, or it's going to, rotate around, drift around, and then it will reveal whatever it is that was previously behind it. That's super useful and is great, very hard to replicate that with an FPV drone. And then the rolling effect is cool, the rolling and flipping effect, because you can do front flip, back flip, side roll, both left and right. So on the joystick, you just basically make sure that easy acro is enabled, and then you can adjust between the different modes with this little toggle here. You can press it in to adjust different settings and whatnot. And then once it's in that mode, you just use the joystick in the direction that it says you can go in. So with the flipping mode and rolling mode, you can go front, back, left and right. So it's either front flip, back flip, left roll, right roll. And it's as simple as using the joystick. And like I said before, you can still use the accelerator. So I can accelerate forward, press forward on the joystick, and it's going to roll and then keep flying forward. So that looks awesome. You can't use that feature in sports mode. So it's purely in the normal mode, which is a lot slower, but still really useful and does create quite a unique look. One of the coolest safety features on the Avata 2 is the emergency brake. It's this orange button here. It's got a little bit of a kind of grippy feel to it. And the thing that's cool, right, is I can fly at full speed towards something. And if I feel like I'm not going to stop in time, or if I feel like I'm getting too close to something, I can press this button once and it just stops instantly. Like the drone, it's going to move just a tiny bit more because it's pulling up, but it stops pretty much instantly. Like if I'm really close to something, it's going to stop before it hits that thing. And I've tested it in the sports mode. I've flown it towards me, press the button, and it will pull up instantly. So that's another awesome peace of mind feature here, especially if you are new in the FPV world and you want something like this. That's where DJI have really stood out here. They're offering you everything about an FPV experience, but with a lot of safety features that you wouldn't get from other FPV drones. Another really cool thing that I wasn't expecting actually from the Avata 2 is we have internal memory or internal storage. So we've got 46 gigabytes, which is an odd figure, but 46 gigabytes of internal storage on the unit. You also have the option to slot in a micro SD, so you can get even more storage on top of that, but 46 gigabytes of internal storage is great. And then on the headset itself, there's also another option right here to insert another micro SD so that you can record everything from the headset. And some of the videos you would have seen throughout this video recorded from the headset as well as recorded from the drone. Again, just keep in mind that that's an extra workflow, right? You then got to take the footage off the goggles as well as off the drone, where previously it would just be off the drone. So a little bit more involved. You might not always need the view from the headset, but it is nice to have, especially for tutorial videos, or if you want people to see truly what the perspective is like from this FPV drone. I have been very happy with the camera system, and I love that you can go with an ultra wide field of view. So it's 155-degree field of view. So pretty much everything in a cone like this, like it's not 180 completely, but 155 degrees is huge. You're getting pretty much the entire horizon that you're flying towards. You can change that field of view as well. So if you want it in normal, wide, or I think it's ultra wide, you have all of those options, and it looks great regardless of which one you go with. Sometimes when you go with an ultra wide mode, it can look a little stretched, or it can look like it's banded on the corners. I don't feel like that's the case with the Avata 2. It looks great regardless of what perspective or field of view you go with. So overall, as a package, the Avata 2 does feel like a huge upgrade over the Avata 1. I love the camera system, the redesigned body of it, and just everything you're getting, the new controller, the new headset. Everything feels premium and it feels like an upgrade here. Maybe for everyone it's not a huge upgrade. If you have the Avata 1, you probably could hold off. But if you saw the Avata 1 and you thought, okay, it's the first version of a new drone, I might hold out, this is the one to get. They've really defined or redefined the experience. It's still that insanely exciting dopamine rush that I got the first time I flew the Avata 1, but it's in in a repackaged design. Everything's been improved here. You're getting all of those improvements funneling into this new product. I was quite impressed with the price point as well. It's a very reasonable price point for what you're getting here. The flight experience has been great, and the fact that it can handle the hit, like I was quite impressed that it took that hit and it did a great job, and it's still going, no major damage. The prop guards are very secure. Camera quality is great. I love the improvement to the sensor. The easy acro mode is fun. It's a novel thing, right? But it also adds a new element to your projects. I think if you're looking for an FPV experience and you've got the money and you love the DJI ecosystem, this one's a great introduction because you can just go with the sports mode or the normal mode. The drone's still going to hover for you. You can still return to home at any point. It's going to return to home if it loses reception. The feed from the actual goggles themselves are phenomenal. Like, you're getting no latency, super crystal clear view through the headset. It looks great. It feels great. It handles amazingly. So it is an amazing FPV experience. If you're going to go with any other FPV experience, you're probably going to have issues with the delay on the headset. Or if you run out of battery, it's not going to return to home, right? Or the camera quality is not going to be that amazing. They've kind of just created almost like a flawless FPV experience for a beginner, but also for an expert, because then once you've learned everything, once you've become accustomed with it all, you can then get the true controller, the true FPV controller that they offer as well. And then you can go into the full acro mode or the full manual mode. And then you can go up to like speeds of 97 kilometers an hour. You can do all sorts of crazy flips and rolls. And then you have the true FPV experience on top of that. So it's almost like you can kind of build your way up there, and you can go from the beginner level, which is still amazingly fun, creates very unique FPV perspectives. And then you can go to that next level again. And there's nothing like this on the market, nothing that can hover and create a true like typical drone experience, but in FPV, and then go into that full manual mode. There's nothing out there like this. There's nothing out there that can give you the same kind of experience as this controller. Like, being able to control this, you genuinely feel like you're in a video game. You will feel like a kid again if you've never used it before, and it's just unbelievably fun. You want to constantly go out and fly. So check out the Avata 2. Really awesome product here from DJI, and a great upgrade if you're looking to get into the FPV space. If you're looking to have something new in your arsenal, you want like a brand new drone that gives you that new perspective, very cool. If you have the Avata 1, maybe sell it and get this, or if you've never owned FPV, this is probably the one to get. So check it out. Those links will be below, and I will chat to you in the next one. Peace.